This is Abby Blue. Welcome to our podcast. We're going to be discussing topics related with immigration, and today we have the pleasure to be with Ryan Bailey, our immigration director and American attorney. Welcome to our podcast, Ryan.
Hi, Kevin. It's good to be here.
We're going to be talking about Irish work permits. I have some questions ready, so let's get started. At the moment, there are so many people in Ireland who have a degree, they have their work experience, but they are not able to get a job. And we have the same situation with other people in other countries that they want to move here, but they don't have a work permit, or maybe they don't even know how it works and they don't even know if they can apply. So the first question would be, what are the eligibility criteria for an Irish general work permit?
That's a good question. So the Department of Enterprise, Trade, and Employment is in charge of everything that has to do with work permits. We call them DETE for short. And they set all the rules, the Minister of DETE. The very first thing is you need a job offer.
Okay.
You need to have made a connection with somebody and they need to want to hire you. That part is up to you. We can't really help with that. We do it the same way as you would. You know, you go on Indeed, you go on LinkedIn, you talk to your friends and relatives, you talk to former people that you used to work with. You kind of work through communities that you have access to and see if someone there wants to hire you or knows somebody who wants to hire you. And then you get started with us. Once you get a job offer, the job needs to fit into a classification that isn't ineligible. So DETE has made a long list of jobs that are just not eligible for work permits. So those are going to be mostly either really unskilled jobs or like jobs that there are already a lot of people willing to do. Stocking shelves or that sort of thing, answering phones. The job can be any number of hours per week, but it has to pay at least $30,000 a year. They're never going to grant a work permit for something that's less than $30,000 a year, except in some weird circumstances that don't apply to you.
Okay, perfect.
Your employer has to be paying monthly revenue returns, and they have to have at least 50% EU citizens working there. So if they can't have their whole business staffed by immigrants.
Okay.
And finally, if it's clear that you got a job offer while you were looking for work, while you were here on a tourist visa,
Okay.
your permit is going to be denied. So a lot of our applicants are either current students or recent students, including people taking English courses. They're people switching jobs, or they're spouses of people who are here on other general work permits, and those people are all allowed to look for a job. But if you're here to see the Blarney Stone, and then you get a job offer and we're applying for you the next day, DET is probably going to deny your permit. You need to be gone.
So for example, if I'm studying right now English and I get a job offer, what should I do then?
That's okay, because you're allowed to look for work while you're here as a student. You're not allowed to look for work while you're here as a tourist.
Okay. So
if you're here to visit relatives, you're not really allowed to look for work. So it's just the visiting status is not allowed.
Okay.
So maybe you have some interesting conversations with people while you're here, and then when you go back to your home country or you move on to the next country that you're doing tourist stuff of, you go to the UK to go see Stonehenge or whatever and do tourist things over there, then you can get an email from your boss that says, your new boss that says, I've been thinking about that conversation we had before, and I would like to, I think, you could probably come work for me. I have kind of needs like that. And was that something you would be interested in? And you could say, yeah, that would be great. And then you hire us and we'll start working on your employment permit.
Okay, that's perfect. I think that so many people will be interested on this information. So many people come to visit Ireland. They know so many people, and these kind of scenarios happen often. So now you know what to do, right? So, for example, they already got a job offer. What do they have to do now? How do they apply for it?
So once you have a job offer, then you hire us to prepare the application. That's where we step in, and that's what we specialize in. So for a general work permit, the first thing we would do is conduct a labor market needs test. And that's where the DETE wants to make sure that there aren't a whole bunch of native Irish people clamoring for or other citizens or stamp fours clamoring for this job, and so we have to advertise it in a way that people can see it, people in the area can see it, and
Okay.
if they want it they can apply to it if they have the qualifications. So we have to advertise for 28 days on the government's job site, and then in the newspaper and online. So we take care of all that. We have a system we like that works well. It does cost a little bit, so we charge a little bit more for that than we do for other kinds of work permits. But during those 4 weeks that we're waiting for that job to kind of sit, we'll collect some information and documents from you and your new employer. And so then as soon as the 28 days is finished, we can finalize the application, and then it can't be changed anymore. And then you and your employer and I will all sign and scan our pages, and I'll upload them with all the other documents that I got from you and your boss. Then someone has to pay €1,000 government fee with any card. Sometimes it's the employer, sometimes it's the employee. Sometimes they pay us and have us pay it for them. It's just whatever you guys are comfortable with. And at the moment, DETE are taking like 4 weeks to process and approve new applications. It actually varies quite a bit. Last year, there was a time when it was taking a few months. Right at the very end of the year, it was taking like a week because they were denying everything.
There were so many
And
people applying, probably.
yeah. I think there was kind of a post-COVID kind of the dam had broken, and there was a wave of people applying again.
So, for
And so they
example,
had trouble catching them.
if I apply and they deny the application, can I apply again, or how does it work? Do I have to
Yeah, you
wait?
can. They'll give you reasons why they denied it, and then we get 28 days to respond with some kind of appeal if we want, where we can say, you know, that's not a good reason to deny the application, or actually we did provide those documents, it's here and here, and then they can think about it and decide if they want to go back and approve it. Otherwise, if they were right and we did forget to include your employment contract or something like that, then they refund most of your money, and then we apply again. So a lot of times, and then sometimes there's something in between where they'll get the application and they'll go, could we get a little more documentation on this one thing? Could we see what maybe they'll want to see your visa stamp from when you left the country on your tourist thing, and they can compare some dates there.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't really deny it right out, but they'll say, can I get some more documentation? And that's usually a good sign. That's usually because they're trying to approve it, but they can't check all the right boxes yet.
This is a very, I'd say, complex process, and I think that the best, if, for example, if you have no idea of how to do this process, I think that the best way is to go and ask an expert. In this case, AB Blue. We have different agents, and they will help you with all the process. They will guide you through all the steps, and they will answer you all the questions. So, for example, I have seen that there are different work permits, right? So what are the key difference between an Irish general work permit and other types of work permits in Ireland?
Yeah, that's a good question. The biggest difference is the benefits that they offer. A general employment permit lets you bring your family and other dependents
Okay.
after a year of living and working here under your permit. There's a more unusual one called atypical working scheme for jobs that are up to 90 days. Those don't allow dependents at all. But critical skills work permit holders can bring their dependents immediately, so they can all come together after the permit has been granted. Another difference is the stamps that your spouse gets.
Okay.
If you have a general work permit and your spouse comes after a year, they can get a stamp 3, which is just permission to live here, and that's it. It is reckonable for citizenship, which is nice. So those years on the stamp 3 will add up, and after 5 years you can become a citizen. But it's not letting you do anything else.
Okay.
spouses of critical skills employment permit holders can get a stamp 1G, which is pretty nice, and that allows them to work anywhere for any number of hours. So that's just kind of an open ticket to work, which is helpful if you're trying to pay, Irish rent. And that is a special kind of stamp 1G that is also reckonable for citizenship. So that will add up. General work permits get you a stamp 4, which is a permission to live here that's unconnected to your job, because these employment permits that we're getting you is for a specific job. So it's for Kevin to be the programmer at this company, and if you're at a different company, it's not good anymore. But a stamp 4 is just permission to live here and work wherever you want.
So basically, depending of your experience and your situation, you'll have to get a specific work permit. So every case is different.
Yeah. So with the general work permit, you get a stamp 4 after 5 years, but a critical skills work permit gets you one after 2 years.
Okay.
Which is very nice. So in certain ways, it's easier to get a general because you don't have to meet the pretty tight requirements to get a critical skills employment permit. But in other ways, it's a little harder because you have to complete the labor market needs test, which can be, a hassle.
Okay.
One nice thing, we have not yet had anyone apply for the jobs in labor market needs tests. No one who had the qualifications, the minimum qualifications, where we say you have to have a degree in this, you have to have 2 years of experience. Nobody has ever jumped in and made us, sort out that problem.